For the first time in our 10 years of marriage, my wife, Stella, was cooking for me. She said she'd gathered fresh mushrooms on the mountain today and was making a special soup, just for me. Seeing the radiant joy on her face, a familiar bitterness bloomed in my chest. I knew she hadn't been on that mountain alone. She was with him, Julian, her long-lost first love, her white moonlight. Still, I drank the soup she'd made with her own hands. It was delicious, and it was poison. When the violent convulsions started, the world turning into a nauseating blur of sweat and agony, I barely had the strength to dial for an ambulance. As I was rushed to the ICU, my life hanging by a thread, my wife was across town, tending to her drunk, white moonlight. Later, she would scream at me over the phone. "So I poisoned you a little, so what? Are you really going to divorce me over something so small? Or are you just trying to take your anger out on Julian?" Lying in the hospital bed, I said nothing. She didn't know I had just stared death in the face, my liver failing catastrophically. I have a chronic stomach condition, a painful ulcer that's been my constant companion for years. So when the first wave of pain hit after I drank Stella's soup, I simply gritted my teeth and swallowed my usual medication. But the pain didn't subside. It intensified, a fire clawing at my stomach, tearing through my insides until I was on the floor, vomiting bile. I tried to crawl, to reach the phone, but my limbs wouldn't obey. With the last ounce of my strength, I managed to dial her number. Her voice was a whip crack of irritation. "Why are you calling me now? You're interrupting," she snapped. "Julian drank too much. He's lying on the side of the road. I have to go take care of him. I can't talk." She hung up before I could utter a single syllable. I knew then, her Julian was infinitely more important than me. My life, my pain, was a footnote compared to him. It was as if he were the one she'd spent a decade building a life with, not me. In a daze, with what little consciousness I had left, I called for an ambulance. When I opened my eyes again, it was dusk the following day. I had been unconscious for over 24 hours. My phone was buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. I reached for it, only to find my left arm tethered by an 4-line. A nurse came in to change the drip bag. "Excuse me." I croaked, my throat raw. "When can I be discharged? I had a mountain of work waiting at the office." The nurse looked at me as if I were insane. "Discharged?" she scoffed. "You have acute liver failure from poisoning. A little longer, and you would have been in a coma. Or worse. If Dr. Matthews hadn't performed an emergency drainage procedure, you wouldn't be talking to anyone right now. How can you be so reckless with your own life?" I was speechless. I picked up my phone. After disappearing for a day and a night, surely Stella would be worried. That last flicker of hope died the moment the screen lit up. She hadn't even noticed I was gone, because she had never come home. Instead, she had posted a series of sweet, smiling photos of her and Julian on her social media. The caption read, "My adorable Julian. His cheeks are so pink when he's drunk." A tremor of pure rage shot through me. My hands shook as I typed, trying to keep my tone civil. "Stella, I am your husband. He is not. Do you have any respect for me at all? What is the meaning of this post?" For the first time in our marriage, when she saw I was angry, she fought back. "What is wrong with you? We've been married for 10 years. Why are you still so paranoid and suspicious? It's exhausting. I've told you 100 times. Julian is just a very good friend." Suspicious? A friend? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. The pain in my heart mingled with the sharp, pulling ache from the surgical incision in my side. In the past, she would have at least feigned an apology, told me not to worry. Now, she couldn't even be bothered to pretend. "Fine. I'll let you have your best friend. Stella, this marriage is over." The first thing I did was freeze the credit card I gave her. Then, I canceled the orders for the limited edition handbag she'd wanted. I put work on hold. For years, every penny I'd earned had been for her. Now that it was over, I could finally breathe. I was on the phone with my lawyer, discussing the divorce, when her call came through. "You froze my card? Marcus, are you even a man? You don't want this marriage anymore, is that it?" I listened silently as she screamed at me, my own anger a low, steady hum. Then, I heard a man's voice in the background, soft and placating. "Easy now, don't get angry with him. It hurts me to see you upset." Julian's cloying words were the spark that lit the fuse. "You're right, Stella," I said, my voice tight with fury. "I don't want this anymore. We're getting a divorce." She couldn't believe it. After years of my unwavering devotion, my catering to her every whim, she saw me as nothing more than a trained dog. She scoffed, a giggle in her voice. "Oh, listen to you. Talking about divorce now. I already told you. He was drunk and I took care of him. What's the big deal? Or are you just feeling neglected? Is this your new trick to get my attention? I could hear Julian whispering something to her, making her laugh. It was followed by the unmistakable, intimate sound of a kiss. My hand tightened around my phone, the plastic groaning under the pressure. I fought the urge to smash it against the wall. Stella's voice was light, teasing. All right, stop being angry. Didn't I make you that mushroom soup with my own 2 hands? Now unfreeze the card. I need to go shopping. I took a deep, shuddering breath. Stella, I said, each word a carefully carved piece of ice. If you have a shred of conscience left, you'll come to the hospital and see me. I hung up, pressing the heels of my hands against my eyes to stop the tears. A 10-year marriage, a complete and utter joke. My wife was caring for another man while I lay dying. She didn't believe I was in the hospital. She preferred to think it was another one of my pathetic ploys for her affection. It wasn't until 2 more days had passed without me coming home that a hint of panic crept into her voice. Are you really in the hospital? She texted. I knew that panic wasn't for me. It was for her dwindling funds. I told her, my tone flat, to come to my room to discuss the divorce and to bring her lawyer. I had no intention of leaving her a single cent, but I had underestimated her audacity. She arrived without a lawyer, her arm linked affectionately through Julian's. Oh, so you really are sick, she said, her eyes widening slightly at the forced stand and the bandage on my side. Is it serious? I turned my head away, unable to look at the happy couple. If Julian had so much as sneezed, she would have dropped everything to race to his side. But my near-death experience required days of doubt and visual confirmation. The truth was simple. She didn't love me. 10 years ago, I thought my love would be enough to conquer anything. 10 years later, I understood that you cannot force love where it does not exist. You can only create pain. Not serious, I said, my voice a dry rasp. I just almost died. Stella still thought I was joking. What's with the melodrama? You look fine to me, she said, pulling Julian closer with a defiant smirk. You really went to a lot of trouble. Just to get me to visit, didn't you? She purred. Weren't you talking about divorce? Don't tell me it was just another empty threat. The sight of them, so intimate and smug, sent a racking cough through my weakened body. Julian chose that moment to add fuel to the fire. Stella, don't tease him, he said softly, the picture of reason. He is your husband, after all. Then he turned to me. And Marcus, you shouldn't take her joke so seriously. That's not fair to her. His voice, so patronizingly reasonable, so full of hidden contempt, made my hands clench into fists, my nails digging into my palms. It was always like this. Whenever I got angry over her behavior, he would swoop in with his sanctimonious pronouncements, and she would stand with him, telling me to be more understanding. See, Stella chimed in. Even Julian knows I was kidding. Why are you so upset? I'm the one who should be angry. You froze my card. I came all the way to the hospital to see you. The least you could do is stop this nonsense, and I didn't let her finish. I snatched the glass vase from the bedside table and hurled it at them. Get out, I warned. Stella screamed as Julian pulled her behind him. He looked at me, his face a mask of fury, then lunged, his fist swinging towards my face. My body was too weak, too fragile from the surgery. I couldn't even flinch. The punch landed with a sickening thud. Pain exploded across my cheek. I didn't need a mirror to know it was already swelling, turning a dark, ugly red. I didn't understand. What was his hold on her? In our 9th year, our marriage had finally started to feel stable, almost happy. Then Julian had returned from abroad, and everything shattered. He didn't have to do a thing. She just threw herself at him, heart and soul. And I was the clown, the fool who was not only cheated on but beaten by the man who did it. Hot tears welled in my eyes again. I turned my back to them, ashamed of my own weakness. Marcus, can you just stop? Stella's voice was weary. Unfreeze the card, and we can pretend none of this happened. Okay, I admit. I've been neglecting you. But Julian just went through a divorce. He's in a fragile state. He needs me. Can't you try to understand? A cold, dead laugh formed in my chest. In her world, I was always the one at fault. She could cheat on me, and it was my failure to understand. I swallowed my tears. Stella, I said, my voice low and trembling. If you want money, you have to apologize to me first. I was poisoned by your soup. I don't ask for your care, but I demand a sincere apology. In 10 years, she had never once said she was sorry. For some reason, I needed to hear it now. The air grew thick with silence. Then, I heard her snort in derision. I was kind enough to make you soup, and you're not grateful. Now you want me to apologize. What do you mean? I have to apologize to get money. Are you threatening me, Marcus? I'm telling you, you were just poisoned. You didn't die? You act like the whole world owes you something. Looking at you like this just makes me sick. My breath hitched. Her words were sharper than any scalpel, more painful than any poison. The last embers of my love for her turned to ash. She felt nothing for me. There was nothing left to salvage. It was just absurd. The woman I had loved and cherished for a decade found me disgusting. I numbly dialed my lawyer and told him to bring the divorce papers. When he arrived, Stella was still insisting it was all an act. You really commit to the performance, don't you? She sneered, taking the thick stack of papers and scanning them. Suddenly, she flung the entire stack at my face. The sharp edges of the paper sliced across my swollen cheek, leaving a fresh set of stinging cuts. You're not leaving me a single penny? You're a real piece of work, Marcus, she shrieked. Fine, we can get a divorce. But I want half of everything. My lawyer couldn't help but interject. Ms. Stella, for the past 10 years, Marcus has worked tirelessly, often without rest, to provide for you. If it weren't for the highly toxic soup you prepared, which caused his acute liver failure, he wouldn't be in this hospital at all. Furthermore, your constant financial demands and your flagrant affair with your ex-lover would ensure that no court would grant you any of his assets. The word lover was like stepping on her tail. What are you implying? That I cheated and tried to murder my husband? Liver failure? He seems to have plenty of energy to throw a tantrum. He doesn't look like he's dying to me. Besides, it was just a minor illness, a few days in the hospital. Is that really a reason for divorce? The moment the words left her mouth, my world went black. I heard screaming, the frantic shouts of nurses, and then nothing. The next time I woke up, the first thing I saw was Stella's panicked face. She helped me sit up. You scared me to death, she whispered, her voice trembling. Marcus, I didn't know the poison was so bad. The doctor said it hadn't all cleared your system. He said you could have died. Thank God you woke up. I parted my cracked lips. My death would have been convenient for you, wouldn't it? She fell silent. I had my answer. I closed my eyes, hearing a soft rustling sound. A rich, savory aroma filled the air. The doctor said you need to eat light food after the surgery, so I made you some congee. I looked at the thermos in her hands and felt a wave of nausea. The care I had once craved now repulsed me. Seeing my lack of reaction, tears began to stream down her face. Marcus, I didn't mean for it to happen. Please don't hate me. When you collapsed yesterday, when you stopped breathing, I really thought you were gone. If you had died because of that soup, I would never have forgiven myself. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I know I was wrong. What good was knowing she was wrong? The poison had caused irreversible damage. I had walked to death's door twice. A single, belated apology was a joke. And who knew if it was sincere or just another manipulation? My voice was barely a whisper. Go away. If you don't agree to the terms, I'll see you in court. She just cried, then lifted a spoonful of congee to my lips. Let's not talk about that now. Just eat something, please. In the past, her tears would have broken my heart. Now, they just seemed monstrous. They were crocodile tears, shed for a purpose. I summoned all my strength and knocked the thermos from her hand. Hot congee splattered across the floor, scalding her wrist. What the hell are you doing? The shout came from Julian, who had just burst into the room. He rushed to Stella's side, fussing over her burn, then pointed a trembling finger at me. You worthless piece of trash, why aren't you dead yet? He snarled. What? You like being cheated on? Stella tried to clap a hand over his mouth, to stop him from provoking me further. But it was too late. He dropped the final bomb, the one that obliterated what little was left of me. Stella's pregnant, he announced. And if you don't give her a divorce settlement, I can't afford to raise this child. He saw the stunned, idiotic look on my face and smirked. Or hey, maybe you shouldn't divorce. You can raise it for me. You like playing that part, don't you? The loyal provider. His every word trampled my dignity into dust. I stared at Stella, my eyes wide and bloodshot with disbelief and despair. Say something, Stella. Say something. My voice cracked. You're the one who told me you hated kids. You're the one who took birth control pills that harmed your own body. You're the one who pushed me away. God, I wanted a child with you so badly. You knew that, Stella. You knew how much I wanted our child. And you and him, how long has it been? My body went limp. I collapsed back against the pillows, only realizing I was weeping when I felt the dampness spreading across the fabric. Stella was crying too. She sank to her knees before me. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Marcus, I'm begging you, please forgive me. Just this once, this last time. I don't want a divorce. No divorce? So I can raise his child. I spat, the rage so intense I wanted to tear them both apart. She shook her head violently. No, I'll get rid of the baby. I'll be good to you, I swear. For the sake of our 10 years together, please, give me one more chance to make it right. Don't even think about it. My gaze was as sharp as a razor. The divorce is happening. And you're not getting a cent. Don't think I don't know what you did with my money. Every dollar you spent on this parasite, my lawyer will get it back. Seeing his money plan fail, Julian lunged at me again. This time, Stella stopped him, wrapping her arms around his leg. Stella, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? He roared, trying to shake her off. He kicked back viciously, striking her in the side. Let go, you stupid bitch. You were only with him for the money. Don't you ruin this for me. We take the money and disappear. It's the perfect plan. She clung to him, sobbing. I regret it, Julian. I want to take care of him now. I'm getting rid of the baby. I watched the grotesque scene, wishing it would all just end. But Julian wasn't finished. You should have died from the poison, he sneered. Then Stella and I would have inherited everything. You're just too damn lucky to live. What did you say? Stella let go, staring at him in horror. She remembered something and raised her hand to slap him. He caught her wrist, his grip like iron. That's right, you sweet, stupid idiot, he hissed. I told you those mushrooms weren't poisonous, and you actually believed me. He shoved her hard. She stumbled backward, lost her balance, and fell heavily to the floor with a cry of pain. Julian, how could you? This is murder. Murder? You're the one who cooked the soup. What does it have to do with me? He spat on the floor contemptuously, then gestured to where she lay. And look at that. The baby's gone. Saves me the trouble. It was just a pawn anyway, and it served its purpose. Stella looked down. A pool of sticky, crimson blood was spreading beneath her. Even though she had planned to end the pregnancy, the sight of her own blood, the violent reality of it, made her scream in terror. No, no, my baby. Don't be sad, Julian mocked. I'm the one who poked holes in the condoms to make it happen in the first place. It was never meant to be. You're a monster. A monster, she shrieked, her eyes wide and bloodshot. The next second, the pain and blood loss overwhelmed her, and she fainted. Julian turned back to me, his face contorted with rage. Why won't you just die? He screamed. You're my last chance. If I don't pay them back, they're going to kill me. If you die, I get the money and I can live. He pulled a knife from his pocket and started toward me, his eyes glazed with a murderous madness. He was going to kill me. 1 second, too. Just as he raised his arm, the door swung open and a nurse walked in. I finally let out the breath I was holding. I had pressed the nurse call button while they were arguing. Thank God. The 2 young nurses froze, horrified by the scene. Before they could even speak, Julian bolted, fleeing the room. They rushed to Stella, lifting her onto a gurney and wheeling her to an operating room. Someone called the police. By the time they arrived, I was the only one left. I told them everything. They took my statement and reviewed the security footage. They promised they would find Julian. The night was deep and silent. I lay in the darkness, my mind terribly, painfully awake. The next time I saw Stella, she looked like she hadn't slept either. Her eyes were red and swollen, her hair a tangled mess. The moment she saw me, she ignored her own fragile condition and knelt before me. Marcus, I'm sorry. I had no idea he had become like this. If I had seen he was just using me, I never would have let it get this far. I think about how good you were to me. You gave me money, you cooked for me, you put up with all my nonsense. I'm only just now realizing what I've done. I took your goodness for granted, Marcus. You loved the wrong person. I'm so sorry. I had no more words for her. Get out, I rasped. But she remained kneeling, a statue of penitence. I know you don't want to see me, but I was manipulated too. Please, give me one last chance to atone. Her lips were white, bloodless. She looked like she could faint at any moment. But the love I once had for her had been burned away by hatred. Even if her remorse was real, I felt no pity. She was a woman who saw only her own interests. Manipulated. I spat. If you had any decency, you wouldn't say that to me. Weren't you the one who couldn't wait to run to him? To take care of him? The anger rose in my throat. I loved you, so I gave you the best of everything. And what did you do? You trampled on my dignity for him, again and again. Did you think I didn't know about the $10,000 you sent him every month? For living expenses? I was trying to give us both some dignity, but you have no shame. Using my money to support your lover. She crawled forward on her knees and grabbed my hand, her tears falling onto my skin. No, Marcus, Listen to me. Let me explain. I yanked my hand away, sending her sprawling. For 10 years, I learned your tastes. I learned to cook for you. I did your laundry. While my company was on the verge of collapse, while I was working all night, skipping meals, you didn't offer a single word of concern. You complained. You complained that your allowance was smaller. I took a deep breath, my voice dropping to a self-mocking whisper. I developed a severe stomach condition during that time. The pain was so bad most nights I couldn't sleep. You never even knew, did you? Seeing the look of genuine shock on her face, I had to admit it. I regretted it all. This absurd marriage, my decision to marry her in the first place. I remembered when we first met. She had found me after a car accident, staying by my side until help arrived. I was grateful, and that gratitude grew into love. I knew she had a boyfriend then, Julian, a rich kid, who showered her with gifts. They were even engaged. Then one day, he just vanished. It was my chance. I pursued her relentlessly, working day and night to give her everything he had. And eventually, she said yes. I thought she would forget him. I never expected her to love me. I just wanted her by my side. Now I saw the truth. It was better to end this torture. Stella, I'm being discharged tomorrow. My position on the assets is non-negotiable. Let's get divorced. I closed my eyes. This time, she didn't argue. She just nodded slowly. Okay, she whispered, her voice full of resignation. The next morning, I left the hospital. I was at the office, dealing with emergencies, when a message from her arrived. She had signed the papers and agreed to all the terms. I told her to meet me at the courthouse at 3 p.m. For the first time, she was on time. She was wearing a beige dress, the same one she'd worn on the day we first met. But we were not the same people. 10 years had passed. She looked terrible. The loss of a child and a marriage had crushed her. She gave me an awkward smile and walked beside me in silence as we finalized the proceedings. Just like on our wedding day. Outside the courthouse, she forced a bitter smile. Marcus, are we really over? She asked. The clerk said we can still withdraw the application during the 30-day cooling-off period. It's over, I said, cutting her off. The moving company is coming today. She lowered her head, as if she had expected it. After a long silence, she asked, Can we have one last hug? Let's not. It would feel disgusting. I walked away without looking back. I planned to rent out the house we had shared. I left it to her for a few days to find a new place. The truth was, if she hadn't squandered the money I'd given her over the years, she could have bought a luxury apartment. But she was never satisfied. Now, she didn't even have enough for a deposit. I had no attachment to that house. The movers took only my clothes and the important files from my study. The wedding photos, anniversary gifts, all the mementos. I left them all behind. Before I left, I took off the wedding ring I had worn for 10 years and placed it on the table. I was free. During the 30-day waiting period, I fell into a new routine. Work, gym, eat. Life without Stella, I discovered, was surprisingly peaceful. But she hadn't given up. She would call occasionally, asking if I was well. Sometimes, she would bring homemade meals to my office. I refused them all. Even when I threw the food in the trash right in front of her, she would return the next day as if nothing had happened. Marcus, she said one day, her face gaunt. If I don't do this, the guilt will kill me. I have to do something to atone. Please, just give me a reason to keep living. Looking at her sallow, almost inhuman face, I reluctantly agreed to her absurd ritual. She could bring the food. I would throw it away. A small effort on my part. On the 28th day of the cooling-off period, I was working late. Stella didn't show up with food. She's finally tired of it, I thought. I took off my glasses, switched off my computer, and headed home. In the parking garage, my phone rang. It was her. I answered, and her voice was a panicked sob. Marcus, help me. Julian, he's here, he's gone crazy. He took everything valuable. He has a knife? He says he's going to kill me. Aw. Her scream was cut off as the line went dead. My mind went blank. Then, I was in my car, flying through the streets. When I arrived, the house was in shambles, but only Stella was there. She was terrified, throwing herself at me, seeking comfort. I pushed her away. Where's Julian? I demanded. He still owes me money. He took everything and ran. She wept. Marcus, can you stay with me? I'm so scared. I turned away, my patience gone. What is this, Stella? Another one of your games. She shook her head, her eyes washed clean by tears. No, I'm not lying. He was really here, he threatened me. But I couldn't trust her. Not anymore. It was easier to believe this was a ploy to stay in the house a few more days than to believe she was robbed. Call the police for things like this, I said coldly. And by the way, we can get the final divorce certificate the day after tomorrow. You need to move out. I have a tenant waiting. As I turned to leave, she ran to the kitchen and came back with a thermos and a small, beautifully decorated cake. I know you don't believe me, she said. But please, take this. I made it myself. Happy birthday. A cold laugh escaped me. This proved it. It was all a game, and I had been her puppet, dancing on her strings yet again. I'd forgotten, I said, my voice turning sharp. It's my birthday. My eyes bored into hers. After all, this is the first birthday I've had in 10 years. She flinched, her body trembling. And then she began to cry again. Let's just end this. I don't like cake. You can throw it away. I left without another word. On the 29th day, Stella didn't come. I had finally broken her. I enjoyed the rare moment of peace, savoring a cup of coffee. That evening, she sent me a message. She'd found a place to live. The photo showed her packing boxes. She said she wouldn't bother me again. I smiled and deleted her contact. It was for the best. I didn't expect the call from the police. They asked if I was Stella's husband. They told me she had just died, murdered by Julian, stabbed over and over again. My first thought was that it was a prank. I was about to hang up when the officer told me to come to the station to identify the body. It wasn't until I saw her, lying on a cold metal table, that I knew it was real. Her body was covered in wounds. 16 stab wounds. Some were so deep I could see bone. Even though I no longer loved her, the sight was horrifying. I had to look away. The woman who had wished me a happy birthday just yesterday was now a cold, lifeless corpse. My hands trembled as I signed the reports. It was a long time before I could speak. I asked to see Julian. He was sentenced to life in prison. When I saw him, he was a different person. His eyes were bloodshot, demonic. A long, fresh scar ran down his face. Well, if it isn't the loyal provider, he sneered, without a hint of remorse. Why did you kill her? I asked. Why? No reason, really, he said with a shrug. I was done with life, and wanted to take someone with me. I was going to kill you too, but some stupid neighbor called the cops. He held up his left hand. 4 of his fingers were missing. See this? Even if I wasn't in here, those loan sharks would have killed me. 10 years ago, I gambled away my family's fortune and fled the country. I had quit, but then she started giving me money, and I got the itch again. He grew more animated. She was loaded. She gave me whatever I asked for. All I had to do was give her a little emotional validation, and she really thought I was her one true love. Ha ha ha. But then the debts got bigger. I had to borrow from the loan sharks. They're the ones who took my hand. I was supposed to kill you with those mushrooms, marry her, and inherit your fortune. You should be dead. I regret not finishing the job right then and there. He slammed his fists against the glass, his eyes bulging, before the guards dragged him away. On the 30th day, I had Stella's body cremated. Did she deserve to die? I don't think so. But the seed she had sown had borne a bitter fruit. If she had chosen our home, our life, instead of him, if she hadn't given him the money that reignited his addiction, things might have been different. I felt no sorrow for her death, no satisfaction. She was just a passerby in my life, and my heart was calm. While clearing out her belongings from the house, I found her phone. I charged it and turned it on. Amidst the sickeningly sweet chat logs with Julian, I found a series of messages she had tried to send to me. They were all marked with a red exclamation point. Undelivered. Marcus, I wasn't lying. Look, he's going to kill me now, that psycho. Marcus, I'm sorry. Let's not meet again in the next life. They were sent in her final, dying moments. I couldn't imagine what she was thinking then. Maybe she truly regretted it all. As for Julian, he found his own hell in prison. He contracted a painful, incurable disease and was tormented daily by other inmates. It was a fate worse than death. When the courthouse notified me that the cooling-off period was over, I had almost forgotten. The person was dead. It didn't matter anymore. I sold the house at a steep discount. I took Stella's ashes to the river and let them go. All the love, all the hate, vanished with them. It was time to start my own life. Just as she had written, we would not meet again.